Have you noticed that climbing stairs takes a little more effort than it used to? That getting up from a chair feels different, maybe a little harder than it did just a few years ago? If you have, I want you to know you are not alone. And more importantly, it is not your fault. After the age of 70, the human body begins losing muscle mass at a rate that most people simply are not prepared for. We're talking about 1 to 2% of your muscle gone every single year. And I'm not just talking about your arms or your core. I'm talking about your legs, the muscles that carry you, support you, and keep you on your feet. Now, here is the part that concerns me most as a doctor. When leg muscles weaken, the risk of falling skyrockets. And falls, my friends, falls are the #1 cause of injury-related death in adults over 65. This is not a small problem. This is a life or death issue. But here is the good news. And this is why I made this video today. You can fight back, and the answer might be sitting in a bowl on your kitchen counter right now. Today I'm going to show you 5 specific nuts, ordinary, affordable, available at any supermarket, that contain the exact nutrients your leg muscles need to start rebuilding. We're talking about protein, anti-inflammatory compounds, critical minerals, and amino acids that most seniors are dangerously deficient in. Stay with me through this entire video because nut number 3 has a very important warning you absolutely need to hear. Let's get into it. Before I tell you about the 5 nuts, I want you to understand why this is happening in your body. Because once you understand the mechanism, you'll understand exactly why these specific foods work. Your legs contain approximately 70% of your body's total muscle mass. Think about that for a moment. 70%. Your quads, your hamstrings, your calves, your glutes, these are the largest, most metabolically active muscles you have. They're your engine. Now, the condition responsible for age-related muscle loss has a name. It's called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia literally means poverty of flesh, and after the age of 60, it shifts into a higher gear. By 70, most people have already lost 20 to 30% of the muscle mass they had in their 40s, and they don't even realize it until they start struggling with everyday movements. So why does this happen? There are 3 main causes, and I want you to remember these because the 5 nuts we're discussing today target all 3. Number 1, protein deficiency. Most seniors don't eat nearly enough protein. The body needs more protein after 60 than it did at 30, but most people actually eat less as they age. Number 2, leucine deficiency. Leucine is a specific amino acid, a building block of protein, that acts like a switch that turns on muscle protein synthesis. Without enough leucine, your body literally cannot build new muscle, even if you're eating some protein. Number 3, chronic inflammation. Low-grade, persistent inflammation damages muscle fibers and prevents recovery. Most seniors have elevated inflammatory markers and don't know it. This silent inflammation is one of the biggest obstacles to maintaining muscle after 70. Now, here is the beautiful thing about the 5 nuts I'm about to share with you. Each one of them, in its own way, addresses one or more of these 3 root causes. This is not about snacking randomly. This is targeted nutritional strategy, and it works. Our first nut is the walnut, and if I could only pick one nut for a patient over 70, this would be a very strong contender. Walnuts are one of the richest plant-based sources of omega-3 fatty acids in the world. Now, most people associate omega-3s with fish oil, and yes, fish is excellent. But walnuts contain a form called ALA, alpha-linolenic acid, and your body converts it into powerful anti-inflammatory compounds. Here's why that matters for your muscles. Remember that chronic inflammation I mentioned? The silent one that's breaking down muscle tissue? Omega-3s are like a fire extinguisher for that inflammation. They don't just slow down muscle loss. They actively help protect existing muscle fibers and create an environment where new muscle can be built. But omega-3s aren't the only reason walnuts are on this list. Walnuts are also one of the highest natural sources of L-arginine, an amino acid that your body uses to produce nitric oxide. And nitric oxide, this is crucial, nitric oxide dilates your blood vessels. It opens them up. That means more blood flow, more oxygen, and more nutrients being delivered directly to your leg muscles. For seniors who often have reduced circulation, this is enormously valuable. And here's something that surprised even me when I first read the research. Walnuts contain melatonin and polyphenols, antioxidant compounds, that support muscle recovery specifically during sleep. Your muscles do their most important rebuilding work while you sleep, and walnuts help that process along. I tell my patients, walnuts are nature's brain and muscle food, and the science backs that up completely. How much should you eat? 7 whole walnuts per day. That's it. You can eat them in the morning with breakfast, or about 30 minutes before bed to support overnight recovery. 7 walnuts. Write that down. A quick tip: buy whole walnuts in the shell, or refrigerate shelled walnuts. The oils go rancid quickly at room temperature, and rancid oils are actually pro-inflammatory, which is the opposite of what we want. Nut number 2 is the almond, and I call this one the muscle repair specialist because its combination of nutrients is almost specifically designed to help muscles recover and rebuild. Let's start with vitamin E. Almonds are the single richest food source of vitamin E on the planet. One serving of almonds gives you about 37% of your daily vitamin E requirement. Now, why does that matter for muscles? When you exercise, even light walking or gentle stretching, your muscles experience something called oxidative stress. Free radicals are released, and they damage muscle cell membranes. This is completely normal, but the problem is, when you're over 70, your body's ability to neutralize these free radicals is reduced. Vitamin E is a powerful fat-soluble antioxidant that protects those muscle cell membranes from damage, allowing repair to happen faster and more completely. Next, magnesium. This is one of the most critically underappreciated minerals in senior health, and almonds are loaded with it. Magnesium does something remarkable. It's required to activate the enzymes responsible for protein synthesis. Without adequate magnesium, your body cannot properly use the protein you eat to build and repair muscle tissue. And here's something I hear from patients all the time: muscle cramps. Nighttime leg cramps, cramping while walking. One of the most common causes of this in older adults is magnesium deficiency. Getting enough magnesium from almonds won't just help you build muscle, it may finally give you relief from those painful cramps. Almonds also contain a meaningful amount of plant-based protein, about 6 grams per ounce, along with some leucine, that key amino acid we talked about earlier. How much? 20 to 23 whole almonds per day. That's roughly 1 small handful. The best time to eat them is after a walk or any light physical activity when your muscles are most receptive to nutrients. Now, I have to make a very important clarification here. Almond milk does not count. I cannot stress this enough. Commercial almond milk is mostly water. It has a tiny fraction of the nutrition found in whole almonds. If you want the benefits I'm describing, you need to eat the whole nut. Nut number 3 is the Brazil nut, and this is the one I promised you requires a very important warning. Please listen carefully to this entire section. Brazil nuts are, by a significant margin, the richest dietary source of selenium on Earth. A single Brazil nut can contain anywhere from 68 to 91 micrograms of selenium. The recommended daily intake for adults is just 55 micrograms. So, 2 or 3 Brazil nuts will give you well over your daily needs. Now, why does selenium matter so much for leg muscles specifically? Selenium is essential for the proper functioning of your thyroid gland. And your thyroid, many people don't realize this, your thyroid is the master regulator of your metabolism. It controls how efficiently your body synthesizes protein, how your muscles respond to hormonal signals, and how quickly you recover from exertion. An underactive thyroid, which is extremely common in adults over 60, directly contributes to muscle weakness and fatigue. Selenium also plays a critical role in producing glutathione, your body's most powerful internal antioxidant, which protects muscle cells from damage and reduces recovery time after exercise. And for my male listeners, selenium is a key cofactor in testosterone production. Testosterone is the primary anabolic hormone responsible for maintaining muscle mass in men, and levels drop significantly after 60. Getting adequate selenium supports the entire hormonal pathway. Now, here is my critical warning. 2 to 3 Brazil nuts per day. That is the maximum. Do not eat more. Selenium toxicity, called selenosis, is real and serious. Symptoms include hair loss, brittle nails, nerve damage, and gastrointestinal problems. Unlike most nutrients, where a little extra is harmless, selenium has a narrow therapeutic window. More is absolutely not better here. This is one case where I want you to be precise. 2 nuts, 3 at the absolute maximum, every single day. Not a handful, not a few extra because they're healthy. 2 to 3. That's it. If you remember only one thing from this section, remember that number. Now we move to nut number 4, and this one genuinely excites me from a nutritional science standpoint: pistachios. And I want to tell you, pistachios are wildly underrated in the muscle-building conversation. Here's the headline: pistachios have the highest protein content of any tree nut. We're talking about 6 grams of protein per ounce. But it's not just the quantity of protein, it's the quality. Pistachios contain all 9 essential amino acids, making them what nutritionists call a complete protein. Most plant foods don't provide this. But what really sets pistachios apart for muscle building is their BCAA profile, branched chain amino acids. BCAAs, leucine, isoleucine, and valine, are the specific amino acids most responsible for triggering muscle protein synthesis. They activate a cellular pathway called mTOR, the mammalian target of rapamycin, which is essentially the molecular switch that tells your muscles to grow and repair. Pistachios are one of the richest plant-based sources of natural BCAAs available. I sometimes tell my patients, think of pistachios as a mini protein shake, but in real food form, and without the processed ingredients, artificial sweeteners, or chalky texture. Beyond protein, pistachios are excellent sources of potassium, which supports proper muscle contraction and reduces fatigue, and vitamin B6, which is critical for neuromuscular function. B6 helps the nerve signals from your brain actually reach your leg muscles efficiently. For seniors who sometimes experience that delayed or heavy feeling in their legs, B6 deficiency is often a contributing factor. How much? 1 ounce per day. That's approximately 49 pistachio kernels. And here's a practical tip I love. Buy them in the shell. When you have to crack open each nut, you eat slower. You eat less mindlessly. You become more aware of how much you're having. It sounds simple, but it genuinely works for portion control. And our fifth nut, and I saved this one for a very specific reason, is the peanut. Now, I can already hear some of you thinking, Dr. Mandell, a peanut? Really? That's the big finish? And I understand the skepticism. Peanuts don't have the glamorous reputation of walnuts or the exotic appeal of Brazil nuts. But when you look at the actual numbers, the raw nutritional data, peanuts are extraordinary, and they deserve far more credit than they get. First, a quick clarification. Technically, peanuts are a legume, not a tree nut. They grow in the ground. But nutritionally, they behave like a nut in every meaningful way, and that's why they belong on this list. Now the numbers. Peanuts contain 7 grams of protein per ounce. That is more than almonds, more than pistachios, more than walnuts. Ounce for ounce, peanuts deliver more muscle-building protein than almost any other nut or nut-like food. But protein isn't peanuts' only gift. They are an outstanding source of niacin, vitamin B3, and niacin is a vasodilator, meaning it helps widen blood vessels and dramatically improves circulation. For leg muscles in particular, good circulation is everything. It's how oxygen gets to your muscles. It's how waste products get cleared out after exercise. Seniors with poor leg circulation often experience fatigue, cramping, and slow recovery, and niacin directly addresses this. Peanuts also contain resveratrol, the same compound found in red wine and dark grapes, which has significant anti-inflammatory and muscle protective properties. Multiple studies have shown resveratrol helps preserve muscle mass in aging adults. How much? 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter per day is ideal. And when I say natural, I mean peanuts only, or peanuts and salt, not the kind with added sugar, palm oil, or hydrogenated fats. Read that label. Those additions defeat the purpose entirely. And here's the reason I say peanuts for last: accessibility. A jar of natural peanut butter costs $2 or $3. You can find it in any store in America, whether you're in New York City or a small town in rural Nebraska. For anyone who has felt like eating healthy is expensive and complicated, here's your answer: peanut butter. 2 tablespoons a day, no excuses. Now that you know the 5 nuts, I want to give you a few strategies to make sure you get the absolute maximum benefit from them. Because the truth is, even the best foods work better when you use them the right way. Strategy 1. Timing matters. Your muscles are most receptive to nutrients in what's called the anabolic window, roughly 30 to 60 minutes after any physical activity. If you go for a 10-minute walk or do some gentle leg exercises and then eat your nuts within that hour, The amino acids and minerals get taken up much more efficiently by your muscle tissue. You will get significantly better results compared to eating the same nuts at a random time with no movement. Strategy 2. Pair movement with nutrition. I cannot overstate this. Nutrition alone will slow muscle loss, but nutrition combined with even light exercise can actually reverse it. You do not need to go to the gym. A 15-minute walk every day, some gentle squats while you hold the kitchen counter, or standing from your chair 10 times in a row, these simple movements signal your muscles to grow, and then the nuts give them the raw materials to do it. Strategy 3. Stay hydrated. Your muscles are 75% water. Protein synthesis, the process of building new muscle, requires water at every step. If you're dehydrated, even the best nutrition won't work as effectively. Aim for 8 glasses of water a day and a full glass when you eat your nuts. The muscle mix I recommend to patients: 7 walnuts plus 10 almonds plus 2 Brazil nuts. Keep them in a small container or bag. That combination, every single day, gives you omega-3s, vitamin E, magnesium, selenium, and a broad spectrum of amino acids, everything your leg muscles are asking for. Add your daily peanut butter on whole grain toast in the morning and your pistachios as an afternoon snack, and you have a simple, cheap, delicious nutritional protocol that targets every major cause of age-related muscle loss. Before I close, I have a responsibility as a doctor to be very clear about a few important cautions. First, nut allergies. Nut allergies can be severe and even life-threatening. If you have a known or suspected nut allergy, please do not start eating any of these without speaking to your doctor or allergist first. Second, blood thinners. If you are taking warfarin, also known as Coumadin, or any anticoagulant medication, please be aware that walnuts are high in vitamin K and can interact with your medication and affect your INR levels. Always check with your physician before adding walnuts regularly to your diet if you're on blood thinners. Third, Brazil nuts. I'll say this again, 2 to 3 per day maximum, not more. Selenium toxicity is not a theoretical risk. It is real. Fourth, calorie awareness. All nuts are calorie dense. 1 ounce of mixed nuts can be 160 to 200 calories. The amounts I've recommended in this video are carefully calibrated to give you the nutritional benefits without excess calories. Stick to the suggested servings. And finally, nothing I've discussed today replaces medical care, prescription medication, or individualized advice from your own physician. If you are experiencing significant muscle weakness, unexplained fatigue, or difficulty walking, please see your doctor. There may be underlying conditions that need to be evaluated and treated. All right, let's do a quick recap of everything we covered today. Walnuts, 7 per day for omega-3s, arginine, and anti-inflammation. Almonds, 20 to 23 per day for vitamin E, magnesium, and muscle repair. Brazil nuts, 2 to 3 per day, no more, for selenium, thyroid support, and hormone health. Pistachios, 1 ounce per day for complete protein and BCAAs. Peanuts, 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter for protein, niacin, and circulation. 5 nuts. 5 simple additions to your daily routine. That's all. Here is what I want to leave you with today. Getting older does not mean getting weaker. It does not mean accepting that your legs will give out. that you'll lose your independence, or that the best years of your physical life are behind you. Your muscles are waiting to be fed. They are sitting there right now, ready to respond, if you give them what they need. You have more control over this than you think, and it starts with something as simple as a handful of nuts. If this video helped you today, if you learned something you didn't know before, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps other people like you find this information. And if you're not subscribed to Healthy Aging America yet, hit that subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me, which of these 5 nuts are you going to start with? I read every single comment and I respond whenever I can. And stay tuned, because in my next video, I'm going to show you 3 simple exercises that work hand in hand with these 5 nuts to rebuild leg strength in as little as 4 weeks. No gym required, no special equipment, just you, your body, and the right knowledge. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell, and as always, I'm here to help you live stronger, live longer, and live better. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.